Or no, or...
I like you too.
Oh, my ship. Of all the things that an episode could be about, a shipping episode is known to be the most dangerous of territories. But, is hard to say anything safe enough to warrant a second viewing? Well, I think it is, but that depends on your interest in this type of story. The CMC noticed that Big Mac has been acting strange lately, in that he's been suspiciously going back and forth between the farm and Starlight's old village. They decide to follow him to see what's going on, and they discover that Big Mac actually has a crush on Sugar Belle. The three decide to help him out, but come across some competition against Featherbangs, who has his own strategy of attracting Sugar Belle. Who will win Sugar Belle's heart? Oh, that's right, I already spoiled that. So with a premise like that, it would pretty much go the way that you'd expect it to. The thing about that is with a setup this typical, it's hard to really make out anything that makes it stand out amongst the other episodes this season. But it's not a bad idea and can still offer some interesting writing. In all fairness, it's paced well enough so the story feels like it's tied together evenly. They even cleverly foreshadow the appearance of the fairy tale book in the beginning so it doesn't feel like something that just comes out of nowhere. But on the other hand, it does feel like the main plot is kind of dropped onto us. The episode doesn't provide any background on how Big Mac ended up meeting Sugar Belle or how he even developed a crush on her. It's implied that he's been doing this visiting her thing for quite a while, but it doesn't really show us how it all started. So why couldn't the episode give us more context on Big Mac's crush? It would have been simple to do, and it would have given some interesting depth to the plot. There's a couple of other things that annoy me too, such as the CMC kind of disappearing for an extended period of time. I mean, they've traveled by themselves before, but it was never that far from the town. Like, imagine how long they must have been gone. What if Applejack or Rarity went looking for them? How would they know where their sisters were if they didn't leave behind any clues as to where they went? I guess it was just a kind of adult fear thing that was going on in the background, but it's still shown in a very apparent way, so it ends up feeling distracting. Also, why the hell is Sweetie Belle acting so childish in this episode? I can understand Apple Bloom and Scootaloo, but Sweetie Belle? Really? We just got an episode expressing how grown up she's gotten over the years. She was more self-aware and even a lot smarter, but here she's dumbed down to the point where it feels like nothing in that episode even happened. It's not even like she's being a kid with an active imagination, she is literally taking romantic advice from a fairy tale book. Wouldn't she know better than that? Wouldn't she be more experienced? It just feels silly that she'd be using a fairy tale book as a resource for helping Big Mac get a date. And it feels more awkward that we're seeing her being like this when we just got an episode indicating that she wouldn't be like this. The episode's humor is also kind of forgettable. I get that these are the type of jokes that would be used for this type of story, but none of them are done interestingly. They just feel too typical and easy to see coming, which weakens the impact of the punchline. And again, it's kind of hard for the humor to work when some of the jokes rely on Sweetie Belle being Kitty despite what I just said. Some of it doesn't even make any sense. Like, there's a moment where they suggest that Big Mac wake up Sugar Belle from her nap by kissing her because true love's kiss breaks the magic spell. Wait, what? What do you mean break the spell? When was it ever indicated that she was under a sleeping spell? Did they forget to add a scene or something? It just doesn't make any sense the way that it's being shown. It's just so embarrassing. Does that make the episode bad? Well, no. In fact, it actually has some good writing for these characters. Big Mac, for example, is given another chance to be more personal and outspoken, the first time since Sisterhood's Social. He's still timid and shy, but learning to be more straightforward in speaking his mind. He's also more firm with the way he interacts with the CMC, which makes for a good boost for his confidence, and working around his nervous kinks of not knowing how to properly express himself. This is an interesting combination of socially awkward and steady determination, and it's really important to see that this alternate portrayal of him is being built upon instead of just restraining himself to being a simple yes or no guy. It adds more potential to his character and allows him to fit better within the dynamics of the story. The CMC also have some good characterization, even with Sweetie Belle retconning her maturity. They make a good bulk of the episode by being an emotionally supportive crutch for Big Mac. Even if the strategies they use aren't very sound, they still motivate him to function beyond the boundaries that he sets for himself and teach him how to take a more direct approach in solving his problem. They also work off of each other very well, with an active imagination and having some enjoyably silly ways of interacting with the atmosphere of Starlight's old village. There's some nice continuity regarding the love poison from Hearts and Hooves Day, which justifies this new style of Big Mac and the CMC interacting with each other, and it benefits the established development that they've been through since back then. I also ended up getting a really nice kick out of this new Featherbangs character, despite seemingly being a Justin Bieber parody. He actually feels more like Gaston to me due to his desire and those other girls fawning over him the whole time. He's enjoyably smooth and snarky and provides a reasonable conflict for the story that the episode goes for. And he's also a nice foil for Big Mac to work off of. He's somewhat unpredictable, but manages to maintain a charming innocence to him. Additionally, he provides an important contrast for the episode's moral, which we will be getting to in a minute. And I do like how the episode handles him with a sense of respect instead of just making him into a jackass and brushing him off by the end of the story. The song sequence is also fairly entertaining, working off of the two different styles and having them engage with each other. While the singing itself isn't technically that great, it has a pretty good tempo and has some nice humor, with Big Mac fumbling on his words, as well as the ridiculous cinematography style. I deeply respect the moral that the episode goes for, as it's something that the CMC not only learned, but helped teach to Big Mac as well. He explains how there's a difference between fairy tale romance and reality, and incorporates that into his feelings for Sugar Belle. With this realization, the CMC helped Big Mac fix the mess that they made in Sugar Belle's store. When Sugar Belle comes back and sees what Big Mac has done, she sees that he did this for her not because he wanted her attention. He did it because he was thinking of her feelings and her interests, and he just wanted to do something nice for her. When Big Mac took a moment to stop thinking of competing against Featherbangs for her attention, he focuses on why he has a crush on her in the first place. He focuses on how much that means to him, and what he can do to prove how important it is. That is how Big Mac ended up winning Sugar Belle's heart. Not through competition, but through compassion and expression of support. And it's even a nice lesson for the CMC to take after too. The lesson being that you should look for a realistic way to pursue romance instead of just doing it through a fairy tale. Admittedly, the fairy tale logic can be pretty toxic, and when you realize that, it becomes apparent that you should use a strategy that will work outside of those boundaries. And doing that, knowing the right way to pursue romance and understanding what's real and what would only work in the imagination, can lead to a very happy relationship. Hard to Say Anything actually does a lot more with its premise than I thought it would, as it still has some good characters and handles its subject matter in a very honest way. There were some things that could have been improved on, but it's still nice enough to warrant another viewing. It's an episode that I'll certainly be seeing again sometime soon. Miss Anthropony, over and out.